The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." He then said to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was distressed that he had said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." The Gospel of the Lord. Yesterday we celebrated the feast day of our patron saint, Saint Turibius. So this morning I'd like to share with you some thoughts about Saint Turibius. He was born in Spain, 1538, a few centuries ago. He was a very pious youth who went on to study humanities and law, and then eventually became a law teacher. And then was eventually, because his intellect, very intelligent, he caught the sight of King Philip II, and he was named to the Inquisition, the maiden Inquisition man. So he was very successful in that. By the time he was 40 years old, the king decided to make him, he was a layman, make him the Archbishop of Lima, Peru. Now this is around 1580, right? Which was the Spanish Empire was going full stature. All the gold and silver coming out of Mexico and Peru made Spain the richest country in the world. So here he was being named Archbishop. What he was, he's only a layman. But as of course the king always has his way, he got to the Pope, and he got a dispensation from the Pope, And like I say, it was about 1578, I think it was, 2 years earlier, that he was ordained a priest and then consecrated Archbishop of Lima. And then in 1580, he sailed off for Peru. He arrived at a place called Paita, which is in northern Peru, right near the area where I worked. It's all desert. The coastal area of Peru is all desert. It doesn't rain, or very, very, very little. Peru has 3 regions. The coastal area, which is almost all desert. The mountains, the Andes Mountains, which are huge mountain range. And then the jungle, 3 different areas. That was to be his archdiocese. The poor man, no matter, he looks so thin there, right? His picture. So he was named Archbishop, and from the very start, when he arrived at Paita, which is down in northern Peru, about 600 miles north of Lima. So what is he going to do? We had to walk. So he walked 600 miles to where he was stationed. And along the way, he was preaching, catechizing, and baptizing. So he got a good start. And that's how he started. I don't know how long it took him to walk 600 miles, but a number of days. And so that was his, how would you call it? Occupation. It was an enormous adventure. But like I said, his main goal was to evangelize. There were very few Spaniards. Most of the people were the indigenous people who did not speak Spanish. They spoke Quechua, which is the language of the Incas, and Aymara. Father Misaro, who's been with us, he's gone back to Peru. He speaks Quechua. So the important thing for the bishop was to reorganize. He was a great organizer. He called 3 councils of all the priests. And settling about the issue of evangelizing. He came up with a catechism written in 3 languages, Spanish, and then the Aymara and the Quechua. Then he made visits. I mean, the archdiocese is a huge, huge area. And he made 3 pastoral visits during his lifetime, visiting all the parishes and helping the people. And one of his big thrusts of his evangelization was defending the poor people. Because at that time, the Spaniards were out to make the almighty dollar. At any cost. Well, that's the way the world turns, right? You have to put people down, you put them down. I mean, that's how people make money. So his big thing was defending their rights, their dignity. And he also started the first seminary in the Americas. And he promoted the whole thing of the languages, the dialects of the people, so they could reach the people. And one of the things that's not said in the books, and I read it not too long ago, the latest studies of that time, it was the biggest disaster in the modern world. They say 90% of the people, indigenous people, not the Spaniards, indigenous, died because of disease. Both Mexico and Peru. 90%. So in his pastoral visit, there must have been dead people all over. Must have been a very difficult time. People losing hope. Can you imagine our country if they lose 90% of their people? What would happen? What would happen if our country lost 90% of our people? Things would disappear. And that's exactly what happened. So it's not to end on a very sad thought, but it's the whole thing of, as recalled in our Gospel of John 21, Peter, well, just a couple days earlier, Peter denied Christ 3 times. Now the risen Lord is having a dialogue with Peter, ask him 3 times, do you love me? And Peter says, yes, yes, yes. Well, words only go so far. How do you prove your love? By just coming to church? And each time Christ says, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. What does that mean? Feed my lamb, feed my sheep. Commitment to work for the church. Not just the ones that come to church, those outside that never come are very rarely reaching out to them. Each in their own way. You have to be creative, like the layman who became a priest at 40 years of age. I mean, he didn't have much time in the seminary, just like that. But he was creative. He used his talents. You are the same way. Not just sitting back, but getting involved. See how you can reach out to others. So let's ask our Lord to guide us, inspire us, enlighten us to fulfill this important duty so we could show our love towards Christ.